In this video, I'm going to be digging deep into the Silhouette Cameo 4, and I'm going to be showing you some of the machine features, some of the compartments, and also talking about some of the specs of this machine. And we're going to get started right now. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another tutorial video. So happy to have you here on this journey once again. And as mentioned before, in this tutorial video, we're going to be taking it a little slow and we're going to be looking deeper and digging deeper into the Silhouette Cameo 4. So do you have a Silhouette Cameo 4? Are you having issues operating it? Would you like to know more about the Cameo 4? Some of the machine features, what it can do, what certain compartments are for, things that you have not known? Well, stick with me right to the end of this video because we're going to get started with basically going through the different machine features, going through the different compartments that it may have, and going through some different items that you may want to take note when you're using your Cameo 4. So let's get started. The Silhouette Cameo comes with a variety of specs and features, and once you have the Silhouette Cameo, you're going to be using the Silhouette Studio software version 4.3.341 or higher. When it comes to your operating system in terms of a computer, your minimum system requirements are Windows 8.1 or Mac OS X 10.10 or higher. You want to make sure that you have a 2 GHz processor, a 4 GB RAM, and you at least have 2 GB available on your disk. Okay, you want to make sure you have a USB port and high-speed internet connection is recommended. So we're going to start with the front of the Cameo 4, then we're going to turn it around, we're going to see the side, we're going to look at the back, and we're going to go through this step by step because there are a lot of different features, a lot of different compartments that you should be aware about so you can be more equipped when you're using this Cameo machine. And the Cameo 4 is basically a desktop cutting machine for modern makers. So you can use a laptop, you can use a desktop, you can even use your iPad or your cell phone. And in terms of iPhones and cell phones and devices, there is the Silhouette Go app that you can actually utilize with your Cameo 4 machine in order to cut projects and also print and cut. You can also click on the link up top the screen right now where you can see how you can set up the Silhouette Go app if you haven't got it as yet, but make sure to watch that video after this one. Now let's start by talking about the lid. Now we have a retractable lid where you will be able to close your lid down after you're finished your projects, and you can also retract it back up. And as we open up that lid, we can see closely here, we're going to take this in strides and compartments. So first things first, I'm going to reveal to you one of the hidden compartments that you may not know of. So we have just here to the left of my screen, we have this hidden compartment, and this compartment here is basically used for your blade. You can hold or use an extra blade. You can place your blade right in this compartment and use it for your own. So for example, I'm going to remove my blade from my Cameo and I'm going to place it just in this compartment. So if you have an extra blade or you want to remove your blade from your cartridge, when you're finished, you can place it nicely and neatly in there and you can shut off that compartment. So this can be used to store your blade or to store an extra blade. So the second thing we're going to be taking a look at is the built-in roll feeder. Now with the built-in roll feeder, it allows you to easily load and cut rolled materials such like vinyl and heat transfer. So basically what you would need to do is to pull out your built-in roll feeder. You set it up, open it up, and you're able to install your rolled heat transfer vinyl and feed it through the machine. Now I'm going to give you a quick example of how this works. Firstly, I'm going to turn on the machine and I'm going to install my vinyl into the roll feeder. And just to note, You can also adjust this section by pulling out or pushing in to suit the length of your vinyl. And we're going to take a closer look at that shortly. So I'm going to adjust my roll feeder to suit myself. And I'm going to feed my vinyl right away through the portion of the roll feeder and right onto the guided lines. Once my vinyl has been fed all the way through and onto the guided lines, then I am able to load my vinyl by pressing the load icon into the Cameo. Another thing you must take note of when it comes to your roll feeder is that on your roll feeder there are different gauges in numbers to help you. So we have 9 inches and we also have 12 inches. This gives you a greater understanding and a greater look at how much your vinyl will be spanned in width and how far you can go. So if you're not sure, you can always look for those different guides on your roll feeder, which will give you a greater understanding. Now let's take a closer look at the heart of the Silhouette Cameo. And I do consider the heart of the Silhouette Cameo the dual cartridge. I consider this section to be the heart of the Silhouette Cameo because this is where most of the work is done. So the dual cartridge, you can cut or sketch using a variety of available tools with this cartridge. You have cartridge number 1, which is mostly to the left hand side, and this cartridge is for standard cutting with your Autoblade. So as shown before, you have your Autoblade, and we're going to soon get into how to install that Autoblade. In cartridge number 2, it is basically used and provides more power to use with special tools such as a rotary blade and a punch tool. There's cartridge number 1 and there is cartridge number 2. Now what I'm going to do for you is to give you a brief example of how to install those different blades, whether it be a blade, an auto blade that you got with your Cameo, or whether it be another tool for cartridge number 2. With your Cameo 4, you normally would receive an auto blade, standard auto blade, right? And it has the number 1 on it, and 1 represents cartridge number 1, which you will see here shortly. You will get some adapters, and these adapters, you are able to use these adapters with these pens, these sketch pens. These sketch pens also comes with your Cameo. So how do we actually install our blade, and how do we actually install these adapters and use these sketch pens? So we have in front of us right now, we have a blade 1, which is our auto blade. We have a special blade, this is our rotary blade, and we have basically 4 adapters, and these adapters are basically the same thing. These will fit into the number 1 cartridge, and you're going to see shortly. This small tool, we're going to speak about this small tool just after we have completed talking about the cartridge. When you're installing the auto blade, you want to make sure that you take a look at a lot of different cue points. These prongs, these 2 prongs are very, very important, and to the back, these prongs are very important. You want to make sure that when your blade fits into your number 1 cartridge, that these 2 lines here, these grooves, fit within the groove in cartridge number 1. By doing this, it will fit and it will slide right into place. Also note, these 2 prongs, make sure that these 2 prongs here, as you can see, and I'm going to give you a better angle shortly, these 2 prongs must clip into these 2 prongs. So we're installing our auto blade. Carefully take it, make sure that you open up your cartridge number 1, And if you look closely, you can just see a color, a different color within next to our cartridge number 1. So I'm going to bring this up a little closer so you can see. You can see a little bluish greenish color within there. If you look at cartridge number 2, it's just black. If you look at number 1, it gives you that little bluish greenish color. What you want to do is to make sure you unlock that cartridge, and you want to slip and slide your Autoblade into place. And once your Autoblade is in place, as you can see, it sat down there very well. Once your blade is in place, what you want to do is to take one finger and gently press down so that the entire cartridge will just go right down. So you want to press it down slightly and gently, and take another 2 fingers and bring up the cartridge a little and clip it in by pushing it in. Sometimes you will hear a snap, sometimes you may not hear a snap, but right now our number 1 blade has been installed and is locked in. Remember, we spoke about these 2 prongs. Let's undo it again. You want to make sure that these 2 prongs here fit into these 2 prongs. So gently push down, and you want to clip it in. Once it has been clipped in, our little blue or greenish icon here will show us that our Autoblade has been locked securely inside of our cartridge. Blade number 2, we're basically going to do the same procedure. Make sure the grooves at the back line up with the grooves in our cartridge. We're going to take our blade, our rotary blade, we're going to gently place it inside the hole. 1 finger, push it down, make sure our prongs line up, and we are going to do what? Snap it in. Once it has been snapped in, you're going to see that bluish greenish icon, which allows us to know that our blades are safely secured and locked in our dual cartridge. When installing your sketch pens, you want to first take your sketch pen. We're just going to use this silver one for this video, and you want to take your adapter and you want to gently place your pen within the adapter, and you want to make sure that you clip it in. Once it is clipped in, once it is locked in and it is secure, you want to make sure that you place it in just with 1 finger. You can push it down, it slides in, and then you want to make sure that it clips in. Okay, and once that is clipped in, once again as before, you will see that bluish greenish icon allowing you to know that your adapter tool with your sketch pen has been locked securely in place. This tool is used for removing the top of your blade. So there are 2 grooves here, 1 and 1 there. You place it on top and you're able to remove the cap of your blade. And the purpose of removing this cap is sometimes after a lot of cutting, you can find a lot of build-up pieces within your cap or within the blade. So this will be a great opportunity to just clean out your blade and make sure everything is secured. Once that is secured, you can cover it back down, and then you can take your tool and you can tighten it. So it's very important that you keep this tool. One thing with the Autoblade you must note is, as you can see here at the front, there is a little red line, and that line represents your settings within the Silhouette Studio program, and we will talk about that a little later. But let us say you wanted to reset this blade. That area is used for resetting your blade back to 0. So on your blade, you can see 10, 5, and 0. And right now, our blade, we can say, is just about the 4th stroke. As you can see here, is by the 4th stroke. Watch what happens when we reset our blade. So we place our blade within this slot, and I want you to take a close look at the red line. It resets our blade to 0. So our red line is right down in the corner by the first stroke. When you get your Silhouette Cameo 4, it comes with a mat. Now this mat is 12 inches in width and 12 inches in height. Of course, we dealt with our roll feeder before, where you do not have to use a mat. Now we're going to just talk briefly about the mat, and we're going to talk about our rollers along with these guide points, which are very important. When you receive your mat, you want to take off this protective film. And once you take off this protective film, your mat will become sticky, okay? This mat will become sticky, allowing your vinyl to stick on to it, and where you can feed it into your Cameo. So let's give a quick demonstration first. And I'm going to just load my mat into the Cameo. And there you go. That is just our quick demonstration. But let's break this down a little bit more. Right here on our rollers, you can see there are some different cue points or different guides for you. These points are very important. Let us first start with our rollers. Now, firstly, with this lever right here on the right hand side of your screen, you can adjust your rollers to suit yourself and to suit the material that you are using. So, for example, let us say we are using our 12 by 12 mat. And I want to make sure that this roller here to the far right hand side, that I want to make sure that it rolls directly on the side of my cutting mat. Let us feed it in and see what happens. So we're feeding it in right now, and we can clearly see that our roller will end up on the sticky side of the mat. Now, I don't want that to happen. What you need to do is to release your roller, just pull down the lever, and there is a lock icon at the side of this roller here. What you want to do is to press it, and you want to adjust it to your right or to your left. This gives you the freedom to adjust left to right or right to left. There are some grooves within this bar, allowing your roller to slot and fit right inside of them. So there are different grooves that it will lock into for you. So as you can see, we were locked into this groove before. Now we are locked into another groove, this groove. So what I'm going to do is to take it right down to the furthest, and we're going to lock it in, and then we are going to set up our mat. And remember, we want the end of our mat to roll on this side. So as you can see now, it is clearly in line with the end. And one thing you must always remember is to push back up your lever to lock. So by pulling it down, you will unlock the lever, and by pushing it up, you'll be able to lock back your lever and lock back the bar. You can actually adjust the middle from left to right. You can also adjust these one from left to right depending on your material. The only one that is not adjustable is this one to your far left hand side. These guide points are very important. As you can see, this one clearly here to your left hand side, these two arrows with a line. This is exactly where your vinyl or where your mat has to line up with. Anything over can cause issues and problems. So you want to make sure no matter what you do, you have it lined up carefully with these lines. You want to make sure you have it lined up right next to it so that it will be able to feed in and work correctly. Let us say you wanted to cut cardstock. Then you would take your cardstock and you would feed it right next to the line, the same way as the mat would. These different guide references are to help you. Some of them are maybe around 9 inches. They show you the 12-inch mark. They show you the 11-inch mark. they show you different marks on your Cameo machine that you can use. As we move around to the side of the Cameo, you can see we have 3 different options. To our far right, we have the adapter, which is the power source, where you will plug your adapter in there and into your outlet. You have the USB option. If you want to connect it to your computer, you can do that. And you also have the power button. So now we are going to take a look at the built-in cross cutter. This is one of the amazing features of the Cameo that will come with yours. Now, instead of you having to use a scissors over and over to cut your vinyl, or to cut your cardstock, or to get that straight line, you can actually use the built-in cross feeder. And this cross feeder can be uninstalled and you can install it. Basically, you can take it apart if you wish. It comes installed within your Cameo and you leave it in there. But let's say you need to clean your Cameo. These 2 clips here, pull them down, and you're able to take your built-in cross cutter out. Okay, so you have your built-in cross cutter that we have just taken out, and we're going to install it back again. To use your cross cutter, what you need to do is to feed your vinyl or your material from the front of your Cameo right to the back. Once you feed your material through to the back of your Cameo, these 2 clips, there are one here on the left and there's another on the right. You want to make sure that you pull those clips completely down. Once those clips are down, you will realize that this area here have been sealed off. Once this area has been sealed off, this little piece here, this is your cutter. You're going to slide it right away across from your left to your right, or from your right to your left. When you are finished cutting your material, you want to always make sure that you pull back up those clips and lock it back in place. If you do not pull back at those clips with your built-in cross cutter, when you start to feed your next set of vinyl to cut, or your next set of material to cut throughout the Cameo, you will find that it starts to jumble up, it starts to give some trouble, and the vinyl will not be able to have a clear passage to come through back and forth. I'm going to feed some material through here and I'm going to cut it off to give you that great example. And I'm going to pull down our clips once again, and then this time I'm going to come from this side right away across, and I'm going to cut off that material. If you're getting value from this video, please make sure to smash that like button. So we've basically been through some different features, some different compartments, some things you probably didn't know, or things that you did know about the Silhouette Cameo 4. Now, as I mentioned before, this Cameo has a lot of features, and way more features than I even talked about today. I mean, this Silhouette Cameo has its backup Silhouette Studio program that comes with it. So you'll be able to install that Silhouette Studio program. You'll be able to make all of your designs, all of your projects, all of your cut files, and cut it straight from the program with your Cameo 4. This allows you to maximize your creativity. You also have the print and cut feature. You also have the wireless feature, and you can use your USB option as we spoke about this Cameo 4. So you can explore the material world, and remember, more power gives you more possibilities. So I really do hope that you enjoy this video. My question to you is, do you have a Cameo 4? If you have one, leave a note down in the comment section letting me know that you have a Cameo 4, and let me know what you think about the Cameo 4, how it works for you. Remember to always like, share, and subscribe. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.